evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Blizzard ANZ Twitch channel for the ANZ HGC Premier Division. If you have just joined us, well, I highly recommend you go back and you check out the VODs at the end of this broadcast because you missed Twisted Vision have a clean 2-0 series. When I say clean, it wasn't as squeaky clean as they would have liked it. That second game was definitely one hell of a brawl, coming back from about 80% down most of the game to come out with the win was just absolutely phenomenal. But enough about that. We're going to get into game number 2. It will be Pleb2Pro versus Mindfreak. Now, we're just going to wait for these players to join the lobby. My name's Kit Fox. Thank you once again for being here. I'm having a great time. Hopefully you are as well. And I'm joined once again by Daddy Disc and Kerr, my man. That was one hell of a series.
It was very interesting to watch there. I particularly like the Battlefield of Eternity game purely because it showcased a little bit of a different play mindset. You know, Twisted Vision, very aggressive early on, but you saw when they started to tone it down and cry like, let's do some setups here. You know, let's get some pressure in the top lane, and that was the big play that won it for them. You know, they slowed down, they set up pressure in the top lane, and then they trapped them during the rotation. So I really liked how Twisted Vision played in that regards. But we're slowly propagating into the next lineup, which I'm really excited to see both of these teams come up against each other, purely because we talk about Pleb2Pro, and you said this before the ad break as well, that Pleb2Pro have players that have an international experience. Not only that, but there's members that have defeated the powerhouse Nomia, which of course Nomia is pretty much the current roster for Mindfreak. But an interesting point, Pleb2Pro haven't really been doing too good this season so far. I think they're currently 6 games in, and they've only won one of them.
Yeah, they did go up against Twisted Vision on Tuesday, and they were defeated. As you mentioned earlier, Twisted Vision currently sitting at 3-3. Well, with that victory, make it 4-3. So they're now into the positives. But like you said, Pleb2Pro 1-5. It's not very good for them. I mean, look, it's one of those teams that has had a massive roller coaster ride to get here. Their story is something we could go on about for ages. Yep. I mean, back in my day, you know, when
Stay a while and listen.
When Hacky and Moops got along, it was a wild time. But look, Mindfreak, they're sitting clean, 5-0 at the moment. I mean, it's undefeated, and we spoke a little bit about them. You know, they've been the talking point, and understandably, Disco, because the core, the founding fathers have been broken up. Penta no longer there, and been replaced by Mad Hacks. Not only been replaced by Mad Hacks, it hasn't been as clean and as surgical as they would have liked. They had to swap roles as well to accommodate.
Yeah, you know, that's an interesting one. We see Fat94 taking up a stronger tanking role, tank position. He was a flex, so it wasn't something that's, let's say, super odd for him. He was prepared for that situation. But, you know, it has introduced a bit of a mix-up to their roster. But having said that, I mean, Mindfreak, it hasn't caused them too many problems. Currently still undefeated this season, only dropping one map to Crimson, who are very rightfully considered our favorites for this season and are currently sitting on top of the ladder as well. So, you know what? It's kind of there waiting for someone to upset this team, Mindfreak, but no one seems to be able to do it just yet.
I just want to do a shameless self-gloat. I'm the only caster this week to put Mindfreak at number 1. Everybody else still had them at number 2. What's the go? I'm pretty sure Mindfreak, they were scared by Crimson on Tuesday. I will say that. Crimson took them to a game 3, and that's another VOD you need to check out. Do Twisted Vision and Xylophone Dudes, and then go watch Mindfreak and Crimson. That was literally the best of the region has to offer, and it just went the distance. So enough about that. Into this game, we're going over to Infernal Shrines. We will be seeing our mate the Punisher come out, but Genji and Muradin taken away. So normally Muradin, once upon a time, he was the tank that you chose when all the other options were gone. Now he's a target ban because Fat94 has just spread his wings after being role swapped onto him.
He is playing an amazing Muradin. Like, Muradin himself seen a bit of resurgence in play. You're 100% right. He was kind of the backup tank. He's never been bad. That's the interesting thing with Muradin. Like, let's face it, he's got an engage or a disengage with dwarf toss. He's got a hammer that stuns, so he's got CC, and he's got just great survivability. I mean, if that doesn't ring tank qualities, I don't know what doesn't, Kit Fox.
Those bunkers as well. Don't forget about that. 50 seconds now ticking down for Pleb2Pro on blue. Be interesting to see what they go for here, because Mindfreak are they're one of those teams that just have a ridiculously deep hero pool. No matter how, I mean, a lot of the teams in the region are this way, but Mindfreak especially, I mean, you don't have enough fingers and toes to take away the pool for them at the moment. So Pleb2Pro, they've got their work cut out for them. They realise that it all starts right here in the draft. With Muradin taken away, it's a good start. They couldn't really have asked for much more better than that. But Blaze will be picked up by them. That'll be Ryu, without a doubt. And let's see if he can just deliver what he's known for. Stitches.
Grant us strength.
Ooh, that's a. I have a love-hate relationship with Stitches personally, Kit Fox. He can bring so much to so many games with that sort of like I call it the let's call it the scratch and sniff, or the stitch and steal, where he just hooks in someone from a suitable distance, and then everyone just piles it onto that player. Malfurion also helping to lock them down. He's a great solo laner, so he has a capability to do that as well. And he outputs high damage. So he sounds really good on paper, but I've seen so many teams get punished for trying to play such that sort of sneaky gang-up team play. And on Infernal Shrines, when we talk objectives, there's a lot that can get in the way of those sneaky little hooks. So it's going to be up for whoever's playing Stitches on the side of Pleb2Pro to really, angle of the dangle, really get it in there to get the hook off. But outside of that, they could get punished for having that tank that's not a super, not super tanky in that aspect. Bruiser, sorry, I should say Bruiser.
I mean, they still need something. You've got the route to follow up Stitch's hook, but you need even more than that. And then, do you force your Stitches to go full tank, or do you force him to go for that slam build, getting the maximum amount of, and basically being his own follow-up come level 20 time for his hook? So let's see how he goes. Junkrat, though, is going to be taken away. So Mindfreak, they do still need a bit of poke. They're going to have Junkrat taken away from them. In fact, they're going to choke themselves and Pleb2Pro even more, removing Jaina from board. So that's interesting. We talked a little bit about how we would have liked to have seen Jaina in the previous game, TV versus XD Disco, but alas, we're still not going to see her here. The time of the mage is now. Come on.
Well, I mean, it's an easy one, right? It's mage equals big burst damage. And removing Jaina, they remove a great option to sit around the Blaze bunker. You drop the bunker. Jaina can drop a little bit of damage. Oh, top with the Blizzard, that it persists. So when you do come out of it, you get chipped by your chill effect. But Hanzo picked up on Infernal Shrines, a good option here with the scattered arrows into the objective again, helping pick up kills, because you don't have to pick up anything, just have to kill the minions on the objective to claim it. And also, if a scatter arrows happens to hit someone on the enemy team, well, you'll take that damage, won't you? So it's pressure on both sides, objective claiming and hero damage.
This isn't Silver HL Disco. All scatter arrows in the HGC Premier Division are 100% calculated. I can that. Always calculated. Now, the last two picks here, Oriel and Valor. Now, that is a battery, if ever I've seen one. Going back old school. Medivh, though, from Pleb2Pro, just to nullify any of those big, chunky damage AoEs that would be coming out there on the side of Mindfreak. You've got that Karazim seven-sided strike, which will just cause them issues. Ryu as well, with obviously the oil slicks getting lit up there. So this is interesting. Pleb2Pro, they're not going down without a fight. You can already tell just by the way that they're drafting here. They are going to take it to Mindfreak, and if they go down, they're going to go down swinging. Yeah,
look, I really like the encore on Medivh. That's just going to nullify so many plays that we're going to see coming out from Valor. That's Mindfreak's John. John currently toting one of the best kill-to-death ratios in the league.
Yeah.
If you want to check that out, talk to our man Skimmy, currently in chat. He's the stat holder, the stat master when it comes to Mindfreak. But look, Valor's going to go in. She's going to try and drop some damage. And you're just going to see Medivh come along and go, nope, I think I'll Force of will that. Not today. And then Stitch is going to say, well, while you're out of position, Valor, why don't you come play? And it's just going to be a bit of a mosh session. I just love it. Pleb2Pro, really clever drafting. But I will say, as far as execution goes, they're relying on so much damage from Stitches and Hanzo to really finish off anything that does come out. So the execution is high, but if it works, I mean that's going to be devastating to Mindfreak.
I mean, if you get Konya, you basically got, what's that, 75% of the damage taken away there from Pleb2Pro. But let's see what they can do. It's going to all come down to the big fat hooks from Stitches and the even better follow-ups from Malfurion. It is Pleb2Pro going up against Mindfreak. David versus Goliath. P2P freshly promoted from the Open Div last season. They're on blue. They are Konya on Hanzo, Vikarak on Stitches, Encore on Medivh, Physics is playing Malfurion, and firstly is Dahaka.
Ooh, and over on the side it is a Mindfreak, currently undefeated in the HGC ANZ Premier League, and we've got Aru is playing on Blaze, Vanilla's on Oriel, Valor's played by John, Fat94 is on Johanna, and Madhax is on Karazim.
I like how Vanilla is back on support as well. So where's Madhax? He's just sitting back there. He's on Karazim, so they're rolling with the old one too. Will that really be a DPS Karazim? You would think so, considering you've got the very, very strong battery in the Valor now. Fat94 will go in. Like we spoke about before, he has no fear, but neither does Valor and gets caught out. How does John survive that? I'll tell you how. It's because Ryu came in with a perfectly timed jet propulsion. Firstly will be the first frag, and P2P, you thought they had that fight, but you're going up against Mindfreak here.
Double support as well. So not only did you have the backup from Blaze getting a massive stun on that propulsion in, but you also had the fact that there's double support, so it is going to be able to heal up anyone that takes massive damage. That really saved John there.
And just having a look at this replay, you can see just how deep John was there. Got caught out by the Condemned and then just walks away. Ryu comes in and just saves the day in the end, so well done. Mindfreak with a comfortable advantage so far already, just with military precision. They're going to move over to their Khazras and take them before even Pleb2Pro knows what's going on. Vikarak's going to try and find a cheeky hook on the back of a Konya Sonic Arrow. Regardless, they don't get anything. Force of will come across, collect and protect Vikarak rather. And VA is able to get away through the portal. So P2P, they are not inexperienced by any stretch of the imagination. Disco, they just need to be a little bit faster.
Look, that Medivh pick already showing value there. Vikarak probably should have died by all honesty, but the portals from Medivh and the protection force wheel was just so well timed, well translated to a save in the game. So once they're on Pleb2Pro, having the quick execution to do that, but I think you said before, a little bit of BM there from Fat94, a little bit of B-stepping. I love it. Konya, not a bit too shy himself, also does a bit of B-step there. Oh, I love it. Look, you're already seeing the Mindfreak stratagems in play here. You know, they're just quick response to situations, fast rotations. They're going to pick up the bottom mercenary camp here, just put pressure on here, and they might even rotate into someone if they feel they're out of position as they're going through the center of the map.
Notable omission in this team, P2P do not have oops. That is interesting. Would have liked to have seen him bring that international experience here to the table. Alas, we're not going to be. And Mindfreak, as we get into the first Shrine phase, 20 seconds sub and ticking down. Let's see what they can do here. They're setting up really well. I mean, you've got Dahaka up in the top lane. He'll just, of course, be able to rush Stalker down. Ryu now will rotate. Firstly, we'll just get a little bit more EXP back. They need to do that to be any sort of contention, because one level 7 is hit. Mindfreak just got to say thank you very much. What are you doing? You're basically giving us free kills. And Pleb2Pro realised that as Medivh in that Raven form will provide much needed protection.
He looks at scouting the enemy team, just seeing where they're positioned. Allows Stitches, Vikarak to get some really juicy hooks off because he can see in advance where his hook's going to land. So I like that positioning there from Medivh right now. Again, just pressuring. They're going in now, and it's on.
Containment strike from Vanilla will actually collect Stitches, but doesn't actually find the wall. Regardless, it's a good enough disengage. John still peppering from about mid-range there on the Valor. Forces to vault away. Dahaka goes very, very deep. And John is able to punish him with with the Hungering Arrow accordingly. Now the Punisher will come up, and that was very, very quick there from Mindfreak. They've drafted a massive wave clear comp here. As we go into a pause here, Disco, you've got Ryu on that Blaze, Johanna on the Condemned to group them all up, and then you've just got Valor just doing that multi-shot for days. They're making very short work of these shrines, and once level 10 is hit, they're just going to hit that spike even harder. Pleb2Pro, they really need to deal with that. Take away that wave clear when it comes to shrine time.
They're so strong.
Aren't they?
Blaze, Joanna, they're just so strong in that front line. And you can see Pleb2Pro, they can poke in. They're doing a good job poking in, but they just look damage onto Blaze. He doesn't care about it. He goes to have a fire bath and heals himself up. Johanna can just take so much damage as well. And with someone like Oriel there, they can actually heal both of them. And Karazim, that, hey, he can heal both of them as well. They can kind of like stick in a little death ball. Until level 10, Pleb2Pro don't have a huge option to sort of like a AoE down that sort of little ball, little death group. At level 10, Hanzo will probably take the Dragon Arrow, which is massive damage and stun, which could be a little bit frightening. But again, I don't see a lot of damage on Pleb2Pro to challenge the double healing death ball.
You've nailed it. I mean, they've got Hanzo. That's it. I mean, their DPS really worries me. You take away Konya, like I said before, and that's basically game there. But Mindfreak, they don't even need to do that at this point. They're just focusing down whoever goes deep, and at this point, it was Vikarak. And Vikarak on that Stitches. He's using the deep portals to try and get a cheaply engage. I mean, yes, the hooked gorge portal strat is there. It is viable. It's something Mindfreak need to be careful of, but, you know, they're veterans. Ain't no cheese going to be enough to topple Mindfreak. Let's be real here.
And that's not a fear to level 10 as well. So Mindfreak are really able to just play into this and not have any worries. When level 10 hits, it's going to be a big power spike for both teams, of course. But Pleb2Pro are going to have all the tools they need to do those tricky plays, to do that lockdown.
Well, Encore getting the portal off the engage there. Vikarak will actually land the hook here onto John. It's going to be a short range one, but Volt is there. In goes Ray of Hope from Oriel. The heals are strong enough. Yes, they are. In comes Ryu with a jet propulsion again to save the day. Detainment strike on Dahaka into the wall. Will actually get a force of will to save him here. Portals away. And just the survivability on Pleb2Pro might get them over the edge here in a lot of these fights. John probably should have gone down there, but the healing coming out from Vanilla showing us why he is not only an internationally renowned support, but an all-star support. That's why.
Well, you look at it, like, there's 17k healing currently on Oriel, but there's 11k on Karazim. So that's 28k, and it's actually a bit more like 29k healing on the side of Mindfreak.
Yep, and Mindfreak, even though they've got vision on top of them, they're just going to say thank you very much. Let's take your Kazura camp. You're not even going to contest. This is just candy from babies here at the moment for Mindfreak. They're now level 9, a full level ahead of Pleb2Pro. And once 10 is hit, they're just going to drop bombs on the opposition. I mean, they're going to just mop up, taking not only their Kazuras, not only their opposition's Kazuras, now they're going to take the bottom ones as well. They're just painting this map red. Shaman Camp is the only ones left up for both of these teams. We're still a fair bit away from the Shrine phase, so wait for the timing on that one, ladies and gents. Dahaka needs to do more, I feel. Like, the Brushstalk is not being utilized as well as Firstly would have liked. We know he's a good Dahaka, we've seen it before, and now he just needs to be careful because Mindfreak are on the rotation.
Yeah,
Oh no!
They didn't quite see that because that's actually 2 bushes up in the top lane. They didn't quite see him standing there, so the patient of a god, Firstly, I think he might have to maybe change his pants after that one, but survives it. Goes out. That was actually a little bit silly there. Could definitely get taken out here. Gets stunned and doesn't fall just yet. Just surviving there, but finally Karazim will say, well, I will pop the Simside Spike to take care of you.
Secure the kill. In goes the Rain of Vengeance, and John will secure the kill. So double kill in the end there for the new edition Mad Hacks, and the rest of Mindfreak. It's now level 11, plays level 9. 15 seconds until the Shrine phase. Mindfreak in a supreme position to take this one out. Disco, they're going to do a little bit of work on the top keep as well. Throwing top fortification, and once that one's down, that's just going to give the Punisher basically a free home stretch run and start knocking on the door of the keep.
It's Mindfreak's going to rock up to the Punisher's front door and like, have you heard the word of our Lord, Mindfreak?
Have you heard the word of our Lord and Savior John Cena?
Yeah. Now, there's opportunity. Level 10 has been picked up now from Pleb2Pro. They could challenge this, clean up the lane. They do have the tools, but let's see how this interacts, because Bunker's on the board from Mindfreak that's going to cancel a lot of those big situations here.
Oh, Detainment Strike will go in from Vanilla. Collects one. There's three there. Was that a Twilight Dream? Yes, it was, coming across there. Leyline Seal connects. That's the disengage that Pleb2Pro needed. The bunker was basically useless there from Ryu. We don't see that very often. But the disengage is strong here for Pleb2Pro. Now, in goes the portals. Ryu will connect two with the jet propulsion, and all that portal does is just provide a massive target for the stuns, and CC City to connect. 7-sided comes across, and again, Mad Hacks with a double kill. 4 kills, 2 minutes. Thank you very much. I'll take a Punisher to boot.
There was a sad moment in every Hanzo's life for Kit Fox, and that's when you see your stun arrow fly off into the distance, connecting with no one from the enemy team. A little bit of a tear swells up in your eye as it runs down your cheeks. And that's the Pleb2Pro impression right now. Lovely little kill there on Rune Blaze in the mid lane. It's nice, but that's all right. There's a Punisher in the top lane to Mindfreak. No, that's all right. We'll get our new sub in, John Cena, to play for Rue while he's respawning.
Yeah, this is a tag team for the title. He comes across too, and actually will fight in the choke point. Firstly, taking a lot of damage, is forced to burrow down. Hanzo finally completing the scatter arrow quest. Like we said, 100% calculated, but without Ryu, you are going to struggle. It doesn't matter who you are. One person down at the moment. Hannah will throw out the hammers just for that little bit of extra damage, but like we mentioned, this Punisher is just doing work. Now we'll go over the wall.
I don't know, Kit Fox. Yeah, that was great timing there. That Punisher really contributed to that team fight in a huge way. The same way that we would have seen Ryu on Blaze contribute into it. Just no bunker, just a massive AoE stun. I loved it.
It was big. Big, it was monstrous, and that's what we like the Punisher for. He's being taken down with still one tower intact up there, so it's not all bad news for Pleb2Pro. They asked that in this Medivh will come across and spot them taking the Chasmas on their side. No big surprise there, but Pleb2Pro, they're losing the macro game. They're losing map control, and the bottom half of this map has just been painted red every single time. Medivh is revealing where Mindfreak are. Pleb2Pro are just way too slow to rotate this game.
You know what, like you said, they're painting the map red. You know, Mindfreak's version is, if it ain't red, it's dead. And that's exactly what they're doing, Pleb2Pro. And you're right, Medivh is, oh, that's actually really nice. The line steal there. Captures two, but there's no good follow-up. And the play is on.
Dream! Big Twilight Dream coming across there from Physics. Ryu actually went down in that fight because before the fight even started, Disco, he fell victim to the Gorge portal combo and was taken down quite comfortably there. So he's been taken out twice now before the fight has actually popped off. So Ryu, watch yourself, son. Remember what happened to Penta? Kidding. Everybody loves Ryu up in the top lane.
Well, that's, you know, we see in a lot of league games, you actually see Ryu die a lot, but that's because he is the soloer. So he's always the one in that position. It's not bad plays. He's the one gaining advantage for his team. That's just a little bit of interesting tidbit when looking at the plays. He's normally not the weakest link, but he's normally the one that has to put himself out the most. You know, he's got to risk it for the bit more than the rest of his team.
And that was actually a good steal there from Pleb2Pro, taking the Shaman camps away from Mindfreak. They say, hey, you're going to take our Khazras, we're just going to take your Shamans. Didn't really find much value, but hey, it's just one tool now that Mindfreak don't have. It's one less thing that Pleb2Pro have to deal with. Encore will go back up into that Raven form and, well, doesn't really need to do much with it because all of Mindfreak have just revealed themselves in that mid lane. Now, this is where macro becomes very important, Disco. The next point of fight is obviously going to be that bottom Khazra camp, and Hanzo already goes down there with the scatter arrows. Medivh is actually going to spot the entirety of Mindfreak here as they rotate down on the bot lane. Remember, Ryu is still up top here. There's not going to be enough there. Pleb2Pro will take the siege camp, so they're not down and out of this one yet.
Yeah, but Ryu in the top lane is putting a lot of lane pressure there. It's going to be pushing into the keep now. There is a wall still up, so he's going to play against the one tower, but there is a keep that is going to be pressured now, and that's a greater situation than these Merc camps in the bottom, purely because Mindfreak are there to deal with it. They can clean it. There's still heaps of time for the shrine, and they've actually kind of forced Pleb2Pro back a little bit.
That they have. Encore, though, still being extremely cheeky there on the Medivh. Let's have a look at how he's going with his Arcane Rift. He has actually completed that one, so well done. Meanwhile, the Shrine is actually going to pop off in the middle. This will be a Frozen Punisher, so probably the second best, I'd say, depending on who you ask behind the Arcane. But hey, all of these Punishers provide value, and you definitely want to be taking them. Now, the rotation comes across, but they're going to come into this fight 10 little dudes down, and the hook comes out from Vikarak. It's going to be down, so this is big plays here. They've lost the engage, and without that cheeky pick, this fight could very easily go into the favour of Mindfreak here. They've got that wave clear that we talked about earlier on already. 10 Shrine Guardians away from the Punisher, and Pleb2Pro, they don't want to go anywhere near them. They haven't got level 16, they haven't got a hope in hell at this point. Now they're going to have to defend against a Frozen Punisher.
Oh, Stitches!
Oh, wow, the portal play was big, but Fat94 in supreme position at the other end of the getaway plan there, and that will put Pleb2Pro with a one-man disadvantage coming into this engaging defense, Disco.
Oh my gosh, that was a moment. It's so Pleb2Pro are just fidgeting around the point. They look like headless chickens, not knowing what they wanted to do. There was Merc camps up they could have caught. There was in the top lane, they could have gone and cleaned the lane. They could have done something. Yet they just let Stitches die instead. Getting no value. Firstly could be next here as the Punisher puts into the keep.
That 7-sided is doing work. Firstly, we'll utilise the portal to get away. Level 17 now from Mindfreak. They're going to get themselves the keep here. And I think that just might be enough for them. No, they are going for an even bigger bite. They want themselves that Malfurion. Twilight Dream for the disengage is good, but the bunker is even better. Vikarak trying to thread the needle. Only finds himself a minion. In goes Jet Propulsion from Ryu. In goes Mad Hacks, just wailing on Stitches here at the moment. John should secure himself the kill. Vaults in, secures it. Doesn't have a reset, but he's got a Mad Hacks, and that's really all he needs. Firstly, will be forced down to Burrow, and John again. Oh, firstly, didn't actually land the isolation there, so that one's going to be down. Good night, Medivh. This should be game Fat94 leading the boys to victory. It's going to be game number 1 here on Infernal Shrines, going over to Mindfreak. Pleb2Pro didn't play that game terribly at all, Disco. It's just the Mindfreak they're just so classy.
Look, I hate to say it, but I mean, Pleb2Pro just looked like witches' hats on the field here today, didn't they, Kit Fox?
They did.
Mindfreak just played around them as if they weren't there. And I don't know if they were just a little bit of a discontinued disjointedness because they don't have Moops. Moops is a big player on the team. He's such a big personality that you could imagine that during the games, just on comms, he's really driving the team home to victory, keeping him in sync. But you saw there, it just didn't seem the coherent Pleb2Pro we normally know, we normally like to see.
They don't have that direction. They don't have the glue that holds them together. Pleb2Pro are a pizza without cheese. Everything just falls off. They need moops. They need that glue. Everything to hold them together, to call the shots, to make the big plays. And at the moment, they just seem to be lacking a little bit of leadership. But they are going up against Mindfreak. So let's not be look too harsh on them. Mindfreak, there's a reason they're the best in the region, Disco. And look, after taking that game on Infernal Shrines against a Hanzo, mind you, granted, it wasn't really much for them to deal with because the portals that were coming in from Encore, they were proactive, and I liked them for that. But all that just allowed Ryu just to sit back and say, I know where you're going to be. This is an easy target for me to land a multiple hit jet propulsion and lock everybody into place.
Yeah, they just... I can't say sort of much more than it really was just Mindfreak's game. They won the objective, they won the lanes, they won the fights. They just played a better game. So hopefully Pleb2Pro will perform better in map 2.
But will they win the series? That's the question, Disco. They are only 1 game away after taking Infernal Shrine. So on the other side of this break, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere because we have got the second game of this series between Pleb2Pro and Mindfreak. Proudly supported by McDonald's. You're watching the Blizzard ANZ HGC Premier Division. We'll see you very shortly.